Hey everyone, Big T here, and I'm back. Yep, I decided to put my cap back on in this video because I can't stand not wearing a cap. I mean, unless I'm just laying around at the house, watching TV or something, I don't wear it. But no, I was almost, I guess you can say, born with a cap. I've wore one ever since I was little old blue and red cap bib ball cap with a little baseball and bats on. I don't know. I had a pet. I can vaguely remember it. Wasn't into baseball. I never did get into sports, but I can remember that little cap. Anyways, today's I want to try to do my vlogs today on a little more of my childhood memories. Back when I was in school, the elementary school, we at the end of school there, I don't know if all schools done it, but we used to have what they call field day. The last 2 days of school was actually your best time of year. Well, I consider the last 3 days really, because on the third to the last day you got to turn your books in and have no more homework. Then the second to the last have field day, where all classes compete against each. I don't know if I think we compete against other classes, or I can't remember how that worked. But I know in 7th grade we got to challenge all the teachers in a volleyball game. We was there doing our little smackdown talk. It's the only time you can, get it smack talk with the teachers. We were still respectful. We wasn't. They still swung the paddle pretty good back then. So you kind of had your limits. And we was playing the teachers in volleyball. And, well, we put them in their place. Yep, we put them in their place. First place. Because they whipped us big time in volleyball. I mean, here we are, a bunch of young runts out there. They were, back then, we considered them old people. And they whooped us. They had their game on before having your game on was even a thing, But they whooped us. We got beat. I can't remember the score, but I know it was higher on their side than it was ours. Now, I didn't need a math lesson to figure that much out. But it was pretty fun back then. It's fun competing, And on the last day there, we had film day. And that was always good. They always showed, ever since I can remember kindergarten there, on up to the time we graduated, they used to show Disney movies. I think in kindergarten or first grade, if I ain't mistaken, I think they showed, one of them 2 years, they showed that darn cat, Shaggy Dog, stuff like that. And every time I see them movies, I think about back when we was little. What I find kind of weird now. I mean, I love all Disney movies. I love watching the old ones. But back then, the simplest little thing, all us little kids, we just let them bust out laughing. One little thing goes on, one little thing happens, somebody falls on their butts, we're dying laughing. Someone getting tripped, almost falls, we die laughing. I mean, it's funny to us, I guess little kids don't take much to them, But as we got older, I still enjoyed them. I remember 5th grade there, they had a Swiss Family Robinson. That's the first time, actually, I think I ever seen Swiss Family Robinson. And well, the film kind of broke. I think it broke on the second half. We watched the first half. Then we had, I guess you consider, 30-minute intermission. We got to go do the bake sales. That's the second day. The last 2 days they have bake sales too. And you take your money, buy brownies, whatever. Enjoy yourself. And we go buy a bake sale, and buy brownies, buy something to drink. Go back in there and sit and eat. Watch the movie. It was pretty fun. But when the second half of the Swiss Family Robinson was playing, I think it broke or something happened to it there, and I never did get to see the last 20 minutes of 25 minutes. Until about 20 years later, I finally got the movie myself. Well, I think I got it at the library, and I brought it home and watched it, and I finally got to see the end of the movie. 20 years later, I seen it. I love them time of year. I can go to the old elementary school, which is community center now. They still have a Head Start. They got a Head Start down there, but all the rest of the schools, there's a library down there, senior citizens place, and rescue squads down there, and I mean, they got some other things going on in there, I guess. And sometimes they have events goes on. People rents out the place, gym, and stuff like that, and had birthdays, anniversaries, stuff like that. It's a community center now. But the ones of us who attended there as students, we can walk in, like in the gym. You walk in the gym there, all of a sudden you see things that, you can look over here and see something that happened. You remember something that happened over there, and I look over here and you can stand there. I can go down there, just walk in there by myself there, and I can remember walking down the hallway. I can remember my first time coming in that school. I was the first time to kindergarten. I walked in the front. We had to go into the gym there, and all the students had the first bus load go sit on the bleachers. Then we went to the classroom after we sat there for a few minutes. Then the second bus load come in. But anyways, we went, and I remember sitting up on the bleachers there, and I guess they called all the kindergarten students out and took them out. And well, one of the other teachers that was watching seen me sitting there. They said, "We got a kindergartner here," and so about that time, here comes the kindergarten teacher. I guess she done the list, and I wasn't on the list. And she come down and got me. And we walked up the hallway. Her name is Mrs. Garrett. I don't know if she's still alive or not, but I remember. The only reason I remember her name, Mrs. Garrett, because it sounded like carrot. And I think that's why I used to call her Mrs. Carrot. I was 5 years old, I couldn't help myself. Anyway, she walked up there and she called me by my name. And she just asked me about things. And I'm like, "How do you know me?" A little lighter voice, "How do you know me?" And then she looked at me and said, "Oh, I know a lot about you. I know more than you think I do. We teachers, we know everything about our students. I know everything about you. I know your name and everything." And now, I thought it was fascinating that she knew who I was, and I couldn't figure out how she knew until later on in life. About up in my adulthood, up in my 20s, my buddy's kids, they went to school. When they started school there, they had a little school bus with their name on it. And I got looking at that, and something about that just brought back a memory to me. I couldn't hit on the memory right away, and then I figure, that's how she knowed me. I solved the case. 20-some years later, 20 years later, or at least 20, I solved the case. It didn't dawn on me until, that moment. I never really thought of it until that moment. But, yeah, and I all rolled into place, how she knew who I was. She's a good teacher. All my teachers I've had was good teachers. I ain't gonna give the rest of their names there, but they know who they are. If they watching this and they know me, they know who they are. I had one teacher that second grade, first time in the second grade, I didn't really have no likings to. I ain't gonna give her name. I ain't gonna go into details, but that was a rough time. Let's just say, first time, ever been a little bullied by a teacher. I'll leave it at that. But as time went on, it was pretty cool, had other teachers, and I liked the teachers pretty well. And they was strict. They was good at the job. They was real good at the job. But graduation time there, one of their teachers there, the fourth grade teacher there, her and the secretary helped me, because I didn't have a suit. I didn't have a suit and nothing, so they got together, got me a suit, tie, and some shoes, and so it didn't match, nothing matched, but still, it was it went together. It black pants. I think I had a light yellowish looking shirt and a light blue coat, top, jacket, and a black tie, clip-on tie, redneck style, man. That, and I was too damn lazy to do a tie. Couldn't really do a tie, so that's another excuse. But anyways, they helped me out, and I got that, and I graduated, and finally graduated. I started there in 1975. It took me till 1985 to get my ass out of that place. I knew every brick in that place. I knew everything that came and gone in that place. So, they knowed me very well. I guess they figured I was just getting too old in there, and they want to get rid of me before I end up drawing Social Security in there. But yeah, the elementary school, I enjoyed it. That's when you was with the same group of kids, unless you fail. You was with the same group of kids all through, from K to 7. And back then we didn't have middle school. We had kindergarten to 7th in elementary, and then high school we had 8th grade to 12th. And it was pretty interesting back then. We couldn't wait till we got out of elementary, and then when we got out of elementary, I wished I was back. My first time walking back down the aisles after getting the hallways, after getting out of there, I was claustrophobic. They looked so tiny when I went back. After a year, going to high school and going back to there, they looked tiny. It made me feel like I was a giant. But now, I can walk down them there, and they seem to open back up again. So it's okay. It's all cool now. But and now, when I went to high school, finally got out of elementary and got to high school. First thing I done was take a pocket knife with. And kept my eyes open, because I was told, heard stories. Oh, boys get you in the bathroom, they'll hold you in there, make you late for class, dunk you in the trash can, and stuff like that. And I went there. I had me a pocket knife. I mean, it wasn't a little pocket knife. It was one of them fold-up knives that, when it was closed, it was about good 6 inches long or something like that. Then when you open, or probably about 7 inches long, when you open up, this some bitch went into a machete. You know, it opened up into a machete, big enough to be a machete anyway. And I kept that thing in my pocket the first week. But, you know, I never got picked on. I never got, you know, no one gave me trouble. I was 6 foot back then. Now I'm 6'4". And I guess people just didn't, you know, want to intimidate me. They didn't really, you know, nothing was what I thought it was going to be. There's time. I mean, you got away with a little more in high school than you did in elementary. You could chew chewing gum and wouldn't get detention. Elementary, they got so bad. Of course, I think after we got out of this, when that happened there, they could catch you with gum in your pockets or, you know, chewing gum, you know, chewing it in your mouth. You got detention or you got written up. So I don't know how it worked after we got out. They was getting pretty strict. But high school there, I mean, shoot, you had a little more freedom in high school. But now, I learned one thing: what you see in the movies about high schoolers, you youngins out there, elementary kid or right now middle school kids. Of course, I guess middle school is practically close enough to high school. When you get to high school, it's nothing like what you see in the movies. Nope, not at all. The movies make high school look like a vacation. It's not as entertaining. Of course, you can make it fun. You know, I guess depending on who you hang out with and what you do. I never went to football games. Like I said, I wasn't really into sports. I was an artist even back then, and I sat in class and I do my artwork and stuff. That's most of my art classes was sitting in class drawing. I sucked in school. I never got past an F. Well, I went to the F Center when I got up about 10, 11. Well, it's supposed to be my 11th year there. I ain't going into a lot of details on it, but I served my 5 years and my ass was out there. Let's put it this way: I was 20 years old when I dropped out. That's 2 years more than I should have been in there, but I figured, you know, well, might as well get out before, you know, if I didn't, I'd still be in there to this day probably. But anyways, yeah, I went to the F Center there, and I took masonry in the F Center. First year before that, I think it's 10th grade, you go to trade school. Or you can pick to go to trade school. And they got masonry, carpentry, electricity, auto body, and welding. That's for the guys. Well, I mean, girls can do it too, you know. And then for the girls, usually cosmetology and nursing. I think I don't know if there's another one or not, but at least them two. And then the next year after, you got next 2 years after that, 11th and 12th grade, you got to go to the F Center, and you pick whatever you want. You know, whatever class it just gives you a taste in trade school of each class. So when you go to the F Center, you can go to that one class, whatever you pick, and that's what you have the whole year. I took masonry, and the only reason I took it was around exam time, he just give you the teacher just write up give you a pen, I think on a piece of paper there, give you a wall, the measurements and everything, and then you just gotta add up the mortar, how much mortar and how much bricks and whatever, you know, to build that wall, how many square foot, or, you know, all this stuff. It didn't take about 30 minutes if I had to do it. Took me a little longer, but you know, probably about 45 at least, but it didn't take too long to get it done. Then we had projects. The F Center had back then I don't know if they still got it now, but back then they had houses that's F Center built, and they would the masonry class would go mark out the area, survey it, and they do the footers, foundation, all that. And then you had the carpenter class. They come in and do the structure and everything. Then you had electricity class. Then they would come in and do the electricity and all that stuff. And we all work together. Now if any other masonry we need to do, carpentry and electronic, that's pretty much the only two classes I think practically done that. And it was pretty fun. They had me up on the back of one house there. It was tall in the back, real tall. It was probably, counting the basement, because it's a full-size basement you can walk into, standing up. It was about 3-story high in the back. And we was working on chimney on one side. We had scaffolding all the way up the chimney. Well, I had a choice either to fill the buckets up and hoist them up, or get up there and lay brick. Well, I decided to get up and lay brick. I got up on that thing, and I was okay on the scaffold. And then some of them talked me into getting up on the roof. We was horse playing around. We climbed up on the roof there, and it wasn't so bad looking at the front of the house. I turned around and looked at the back of the house down. If I fell off that thing, I probably had time to say a few prayers before I hit the ground. It was pretty high up. And here I go boot scooting back off of it there. I got back on the scaffold, and I never got back up on it. I got off the damn scaffold. I'd rather shovel mortar and stuff and hoist it up. So, it's pretty fun back then doing all that stuff. You got to get out, you got to get dirty. You didn't have to sit in class all the time. But yeah, high school is pretty good. Like I said, it just depends on how you make it. Spend time with your friends, go do stuff. I never really had a lot of, done a lot of hanging out with friends, going partying or football games, doing a lot of stuff like that. I was more home because I didn't have no one come want to have me to hang with them or nothing. I done my own hanging up in the mountains, hanging out on climbing hills, and made my own world in the mountains. But anyways, like I said, high school was pretty fun in ways. Elementary was good too. I enjoyed, pretty much both of them. I'm glad I'm out of them, even though sometimes I wish I can go back to relive some things. I see some people I went to school with on Facebook, and I remember them back then, and I see them now, or I meet them in person, I meet them out somewhere, and I remember the way they was, and I see the way they are now, and it just, some of them still looks about almost the same. Some of them still, the way things was back then, we're all growed up, we're more matured, and it does a whole lot of difference, but I still run in a lot of people I went to school with. Since I got on Facebook, and I've been running everyone I went to school with. So, instead of going to have a reunion at school, you can have a reunion on Facebook all year round. But anyways, that's my stories for today. This one here's probably going to be a little longer than some other videos. Hopefully it comes out better than my last one. I done with this webcam. I doctored it best I could. I put a little more lighting on me today, and got the camera focusing in a little more today. So I'll probably do a little editing with the YouTube editing stuff and see what I can do from there if I need it. But in other words, I hope you enjoy today. Get out and do some stuff. But anyway, y'all have a good day. Greater one tomorrow, and I'm gone.